having some nice conversation. All right, here we go. So placing my hands on my heart, taking in that deep cleansing breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this opportunity to come together, to be the two or more who are gathered in the name and the nature of love. Grateful to have this willingness to come together as a community and love and support each other, to hold each other up, to know the highest and best is unfolding for us, even when it doesn't seem that way sometimes for us. We're grateful for the mighty companions that walk with us and talk with us all through the day, all of our earthly and heavenly helpers. We ask that they join us now, surrounding and supporting us and blessing us, blessing this technology we get to use to come together, blessing everyone here, all those who may listen later. And we're grateful to share those blessings and the love that we are with everyone, because we're one with them. In grace and gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. That real frog in my throat all of a sudden. So we are in the Manual for Teachers still. For this week, we were reading, Is Healing Certain? And Should Healing Be Repeated? And I have to admit that reading Is Healing Certain brought up more questions than answers, I think. And it may also be because I'm a little sleep deprived, but that's okay. So I think what I would like to start us with is in Should Healing Be Repeated? I think paragraph 3. It is in this that the teacher of God must trust. What is in this? That healing does not need to be repeated. It is in this that the teacher of God must trust. This is what is really meant by the statement that one responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. The teacher of God is a miracle worker because he gives the gifts he has received. Yet he must first accept them. He need do no more, nor is there more that he could do. By accepting healing, he can give it. If he doubts this, let him remember who gave the gift and who received it. And that's, the lessons that tell us that giving and receiving are one and the same. And that everything I give to God. Everything I receive from God. And to let go of whatever I think the answered prayer should be, because it's never what you think. At least in my experience, it's never been quite what I think. And most of the time, it's way better than what I expected. So that's where I'm starting us off today. Who else would like to share? Go ahead, Carla.
Okay, I might need some help because I'm online, so it's hard for me to go from one section to another. But the first, Is Healing Certain? Was, I didn't really feel resonant to that, but If Your Healing Be Repeated was very valuable. So first, I'm gonna put out something. My intention is to never be forward or preachy or anything. Is that I'm really practicing, because I know where's the healing certain. It's because you go within to the truth for everything, every single thing. And that's the challenge of this world. It seems like we have to buy groceries, we have to pay bills, we have to make the bed. And so we get caught up in stuff. And sometimes too, I feel the certainty of something, of knowing something, but that doesn't always stay. Life is fluid. And so I used to hold on to guidance, like, oh, that's guidance, that's true. And then, but guidance is food with change with the world. So I do want to say that if ever that's not my intention for if I come across in a painful way, because I'm practicing with you the blessing of going within and expressing whatever I feel at the moment. And sometimes I get it wrong. I'm just practicing life. So where I wanted to go first is healing is always certain. Number one, the first one and I think in the second paragraph it said it's the second line, the instant it is welcome, it is there. So this is one of those moments. I'm going through a really interesting experience. I mean, is it challenging? Oh, is it painful? Sometimes, because it's not because healing is painful. It's love is not painful. It's our holding on to whatever meaning we have, and God saying, honey, don't you want to let go of that? And I'm like, no, I want to hold on to it. And that's why we have the pain. So, and so I touch my phone at this stuff. So so I don't want to be offensive to anybody. Healing is always certain. And so if I feel like this is challenging, I feel like it's because I'm holding on to something. It's because I'm not allowing the healing. And it says, instant is welcome, it is there. I know it's only love, and it's only love being expressed to me. But this is something I want to change within my own mind. It's like, I'm like, oh, not again. I thought I healed this. And that's where I think the fourth paragraph in the second section is healing. Should healing be repeated? Can you read the first line, please?
Fourth paragraph is one of the most difficult temptations to recognize is that to doubt a healing because of the appearance of continuing symptoms is a mistake in the form of lack of trust. As such, it is an attack.
Thank you. And we can choose every moment. It's only now, right? So everybody go, oh, we can go to doubt or lack of trust or it's uncertainty. We have that choice, that freedom. Sorry, I may need to fix my thing, but so what I'm getting to, I'm gonna take a drink real quick, is that I've been expressing, I guess the word that comes on mind is lamentations. No idea, that this is challenging. That that's because I'm not allowing the healing really. And I see my mind, which is being expressed by others, like, oh, I wish I could I'm sorry this is going through this, but healing is certain. Healing is welcome in my life. So bring it on. It's not the pain I don't want. That's my choice. If I choose pain, that's always my choice because God allows me to choose it. But it's welcome. It's not the pain is welcome, but the experience. This is where the divine alarm clock would go back to that basic theory that if you're feeling pain, for feeling discomfort, it's because you're believing something that's not true. This is a healing. This is a great healing in my life. and it is welcome. So there's pain that comes along. That's somehow that's the separate self is choosing that. But I'm not willing anymore to tell myself that I am so sorry you're going through this. It's not that allowing the hug is great. I mean, it's only love, right? But healing is welcome. It's the letting go that with the resistance to letting go that I don't want to welcome anymore. And if it happens, I welcome that because that's my choice. And I'm not going to tell myself, oh, I should have chosen something else. Because I'm not willing to go to that ever. Atonement is perfect love. You never go there, ever. It's perfect love. Consistent in everything you do. So is healing certain? Yes. Should healing be repeated? Certain. Why should it ever be repeated? So because of my choice to doubt, which is another word that's spoken about in that a lot. Self-doubt. It's the self that I doubt, the ego self, really, because it seems like it's something not totally helpful or something, which is also judgment, but in there somewhere. But healing is certain. Why is it certain? Because there is only love. And love cannot be anything other than healing. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. I know it's hard to grasp and to digest and to believe sometimes that healing is certain, because it doesn't necessarily look like what we think it's going to look like, and it doesn't necessarily feel great. Like, you just imagine healing is just going to be, rainbows and sunshine and unicorns, and guess what? It's not.
It's not the healing that feels, it's
our resistance.
It's a resistance to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Carla. Mara.
Hi, Linda. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I wanted to, I'm reading from Robert Perry's book, and I wanted to just read this part. And then I also want to read another part of another paragraph, which stood out to me. So the first paragraph is healing certain in his book. He says, healing is always certain. It is impossible to let illusions be brought to truth and keep the illusions. Truth demonstrates illusions have no value. The teacher of God has seen the correction of his errors in the mind of the patient, recognizing it for what it is. And then there's a footnote. It says it probably refers to the mind of the patient rather than to correction. The comment that the teacher of God has seen most likely refers to the previous subsection, which describes God's teachers as healing by reaching out to the truth in the minds of their brothers and seeing no one's will as separate from their own. This is another way of saying that they heal by recognizing the patient's mind for what it is. The logic in the above sentence would therefore mean that since the teacher of God no longer sees his own errors in the patient's mind, he can now see the mind for what it really is. And it totally reminded me of Dr. Hugh Len and how he healed those patients. Like, he wasn't healing them, he was healing himself, because he was seeing that in, if he was experiencing that in his present moment, it was in his mind. And so he was healing that. And then because we are all one mind, it healed them. So really interesting. But also what stood out to me in should healing be repeated? paragraph 4, it says, let's see. One of the most difficult temptations to recognize is that to doubt a healing because of the appearance of continuing symptoms is a mistake in the form of lack of trust. As such, it is an attack. Attack. Usually it seems to be just the opposite. It does not appear unreasonable at first to be told that continued concern is attack. It has all the appearances of love, yet love without trust is impossible, and doubt and trust can't coexist. And hate must be the opposite of love, regardless of the form it takes. That was like smack in the face. Hate, concern equals hate. Wow. Yeah, I got to sit with that one for a minute. The conditioning has been so deep in that area, where we empathize, yeah. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that, I would love to hear you, Linda.
Oh yeah, because I come from a long family of worriers. And but the thing that popped in my mind almost immediately when you started talking about that, Humera, is Jennifer's story about how her grandmother used to say to her something like, when she knew that she was moving out to California, I just pray that you don't get attacked. And she said, how would that prayer look? Is it like a picture of attack with a circle and a line through it,
Yeah, I remember
So,
that story.
yeah, so it is that. So if we're worried, and I honestly don't know how I managed to do this when my son became like pre-teenage and he started hanging out with his friends a little later at night. And I normally am an early to bed, early to rise kind of girl. And I would just go to bed and say a prayer, knowing that he was completely surrounded by his own angels that were taking care of him, and I didn't have to worry about him. I did that all throughout high school and all throughout the time that he was living in this house, because I can remember my mother specifically, but both my mom and my dad, talking about like instilling the guilt of if we stayed out past our curfew, or if we didn't end up being where we told them that we were going to be. And, they would just yell at us about how worried they were, and don't they know that they love us? And so I grew up with that kind of twisted understanding of love, which now I'm realizing is not love at all. I mean, that's what they were intending it for, but it was their own discomfort that they were mad about, right? And it was because they did not trust us and our own, the fact that we have our own path and we have our own guardian angels. They did not trust that to the point where they knew that we would be safe and that everything that was happening with us would be all right in the world. So yeah, I don't know. Somehow I was able to do that and it helped me. I was able to sleep at night. And I try and tell any parents of preteen and teenagers, pray to have the trust and faith to know that your children are cared for just the same way as you are, and they have their own army of angels surrounding them and keeping them safe.
And what was your visualizing process again? You would imagine angels around him?
Yeah, I would just say to myself, I do not need to worry about him, because I know, first of all, that, we have brought him up well. And, we instilled in him the core beliefs that he was loved and he was cared for, and he, to love and care for others as himself, and to just to affirm that he has his own path. He has his own set of angels watching over him.
It's beautiful. I'm going to use that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing. Who else would like to share? Nobody? Oh, come on. Now I know there's some weeks when I can't get y'all to shut up. You got to have something to say.
Well, I was thinking this thing about trust is something that is coming back every time, like
Oh,
time and
yeah.
time again, in different forms, and this is also just well, an example of that it's in the end it's all about trust, and I also find it in my own experience when I mean it's all the time that things happen that your ego doesn't really want to happen, because I mean, for example, now it's just a very small thing. I'm working. I can't be at work because I'm like I have a cold, and my ego was thinking, "Oh no, I can't be at work," and they have to find someone else, and that's I feel and but it turned out that it was a good opportunity to fix something else at home for our son. And so I don't know whether that was the meaning of it, but I mean, there is to have trust that there is a higher meaning, and that, well, things have a reason, and don't judge it. That's just a good thing for me, at least to have in mind all the time. Like, okay, oh, there I go again. I judge the things that are happening. Don't need to do that. That's up to God. So yeah.
Well,
Yep.
and I go back and forth between hearing all this stuff. I mean, some of it really sounds like it's traditional religion kind of thinking. I mean, maybe we need to get to a point to somehow accept maybe none of this is true and maybe none of it works. Now, I don't want to put a damper on everybody's belief system, but I mean, there gets a point where it gets to be superstitious thinking. I mean, it's like traditional religion people telling me, well, it's not God's will, or it's not his timing, or your body will be restored when you get to heaven and all this stuff. Well, that's not so easy to take, and it's not what I want to hear, but some of us don't have this, oh, we just have to trust, we have to have faith or whatever. I mean, we're human beings and we need some kind of proof, some kind of tangible, something that we can touch and that makes sense to us. That's how we are built as human beings. And if that's not there, I mean, you can make whatever reason or use whatever words you want, but it's not there, period.
Yeah. Well, it's the having compassion for exactly where you are, Deborah, it sounds like that's the place where those people are lacking. Loving you exactly where you are. If you're feeling an emotional challenge, telling you that your body will be restored when you get to heaven is not going to help you. I mean, to me, that would be fighting words.
Yeah,
that would be an opportunity for me to say, oh, really? Come here and let me show you,
As human beings, we also have this way to manipulate our minds. Like, we pray and pray and pray. We do this and that and whatever. If it doesn't happen, if it doesn't materialize, well, maybe prayer does not work. I mean, maybe there's that possibility that this is all just some big thing that we made up to make ourselves feel better, which sometimes I really wonder.
Well, I feel like that is a possibility, but what the Course is saying, which is not really a religion, is that we're making this stuff up as we go. So,
well, Linda, I mean, I don't mean to be contradictory, but I feel like that's what a lot of religions do. I mean, I just see them pull whatever out of their hat, whatever little phrase or something will appease people at the moment.
But I understand what you're saying, and well, let me start by saying I hope I didn't offend you by just taking my own example, which is a very small thing, like being having a cold, like this. But when religions or like authorities within a religion are saying stuff, that doesn't have to be the truth either. So the trust is in some cases, I can imagine that the trust needs to be so transcendent of every belief, which makes it very hard and big challenge. So yeah, I don't know whether I come into a conclusion now, but that was something that I was thinking about.
It's definitely a challenge, and I mean, thank you for your response. And I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just seeking the truth. I mean, I don't want the bullshit. I don't want the go around this way or that way. I want the truth. I want the straight road to whatever.
Mm.
Yes. Well, if everybody is honest, Deborah, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Like, you can't take A Course in Miracles or the Bible or the Quran, or, you know, you can't take any text as the one truth of God, because the only truth of God, the only place that lives is within us. And so, you know, maybe prayers and everything else that we read, and maybe it is all bullshit, but what I have witnessed and what I have felt in my own heart, in my own mind, in my own body, in my own life, is that it's not. So I can't hold something up and say, see, this is the result of prayer. But I can tell you that I feel better when I close my eyes and put my hand on my heart and take several deep breaths and allow myself to feel centered, grounded, and more aligned with the truth of my own being. So is that prayer? Is that what's written in A Course in Miracles? Maybe, maybe not. But I know I feel peace there, even in the midst of anything else that's happening in my life. I can feel some semblance of peace there. I don't know if that helps at all.
Well, and I think we all can if we just do the breathing. And I mean, I've done all that. I've done the breathing. I do it every day and for, you know, many minutes a day. And I'm just exasperated because I don't know anymore. I mean, I wonder if anything is true.
Yeah. And we can get to that place. We can absolutely get to that place where it doesn't feel like anything that we're doing is changing our circumstances at all. I don't know, what came to my mind just now was, and I don't know the exact line, but it's from Dickens' A Christmas Carol, where Ebenezer Scrooge's son said, or nephew says something like, you know, Christmas cheer has not put a single penny in his pocket, but he's going to share it just the same, because it grows his spirit, it grows his heart.
Well, yeah, and we all want that, don't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, at some point you can say, I'm not a body, I'm not a body. You can say it 1,000 times over and over again, but you know, when you still can't stand up, when you still can't move around your house and do anything on your own, I mean, you have to wonder, what the hell is this about?
Yeah.
I mean, is it just words?
Yeah. But I think too that the ego wants to keep us in those questions. What is this about? Instead of accepting exactly where we are, anger and awe, ability or disability and all. If we can just say, okay, this is where I am. Let me serve you whatever way you see fit. And maybe it doesn't mean that I'm, moving through the world. Maybe it means that I'm being a demonstration of love by being kind to those that are helping me, or that I'm able to give a little bit of wisdom to somebody that's in my presence. We don't know. A smile can make such a difference in somebody's life.
I mean, it just seems to me like if we're talking about this God who is supposedly evolved and infinite and all these things, then we would have a better way of communicating that is a little more effective. I mean, I don't know that I really know how to communicate with God. I mean, they say to pray, they say to do this, there's petition and there's affirmation and whatever, all of it. I mean, I've read the books, I've read most of it. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm familiar with most of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just a missing element here. It seems like we've been tricked. That's what it feels like on some days.
Well, it's just that having a conversation with God is having a conversation with yourself, because we're one with God. It's like trying to separate a drop of water from the ocean. It's still the ocean. It's still the ocean. So having that conversation with yourself is the way you connect.
I mean, I struggle with this. Well, have I anthropomorphized God and just made him into something that, the same kind of relationship I had with a parent or a friend, and that's not really who he is, and that's not how to communicate with him, and that I put my own characteristics on him, that's not true, or, other people talk about the universe that responds and this and that. Well, which is it? And, why don't we have these direct answers? Because
words are inadequate. God and the universe and Yahweh and Allah, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So words are inadequate. So that's why we don't have the answers, because there are no questions. There is only love. There is only oneness. And we're experiencing it in its seemingly different ways.
Well, I don't know. It's just like if I go out to get something, I want to try to buy something with the qualities that I'm desiring.
Yeah.
But it's not working that way. I mean, and I know those aren't similar. I'm just using that as an example, that it's our human nature to want to have that kind of alignment and correspondence and reciprocation. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that comes to my mind is be the change you want to see in the world. So be in your heart what you want to experience. I'm gonna, Deborah, I know that there's gonna be others that are gonna help you, but I'm gonna move on to Grace and then Carla and then Hamira. And just tell you that we love you so much, my friend.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah, you're welcome, honey.
Hi, Deborah. I sometimes ask the same question. In fact, I made an appointment with Kiran J this week to talk about just that. How do I know this is not just some kind of pipe dream, etc.? And for me, it's entirely experiential. I compare my life now with how it was before I started to see how love changes the world and changes me. And so, I mean, what have I got to lose? My life just got so much better since coming from love and non-judgment. But Deborah, I don't know much about you, and I'm guessing that you've had some sort of chronic illness, and I have been chronically ill all my life. and I've seen quite a big healing recently. So if you don't mind just letting us know, I think you've been sick for a while, and it just reminds me of Kiran J, who was paralyzed and in bed and had nurses come to her 3 times a day for 6 years before she had, through forgiving her father, I don't know how it all came about, but one day she was just completely healed from not being able to move a little finger to becoming a teacher today. So I do look at other people's experiences as well and see the transformation that they've had in their life. And I ask myself, why am I not seeing that in my life? Because I was angry at being ill since I was a kid. And so I realized that, that, well, I just started to do the work in Costa in Masterful Living, and got a healing through something I did. I don't know what I did. Maybe the forgiveness work, I don't know. But anyway, Deborah, do you mind just telling me a little bit about what's going on with you? Or if you don't want to do that, that's perfectly okay as well.
No, I don't mind at all, and I don't mean to be redundant.
Just briefly,
I do have to mention it sometimes, but 6 years ago, I had this stroke. I was in very good health, very active, exercised, ate as well as I could, and did all the things that I was told that needed to happen for me to stay healthy. Out of nowhere, I had a stroke. I can't seem to find why, and I had a brain clot go into my brain, break off in my carotid artery, and I mean, my whole life changed. I lost my career. I lost my mobility. I've lost some of my animals. I mean, I've become dependent on other people to do things for me, and I mean, I've read the Kiran J story and all that. There's some similarities, and I've talked with her a little bit on Facebook, but I still come back to the same thing. I mean, I've read the Christian Science book 5-6 times and tried to apply everything in it, and I'm exasperated. I just, I don't know where else to turn. I mean, of course, anybody would question, is there really a God out there, or is this just some made-up bullshit that to make us feel better? I mean, is that what we've done as human beings, create some fantasy just to try to get through this stuff? Yeah. It makes you think like that as well, for sure. I used to think like that. Thanks, Deborah. I get it now. And just to add to that, I mean, 25 years prior to the stroke, 25 years I had ulcerative colitis, and my life was compromised. I couldn't do a lot of the things that I wanted to do because I never knew when I was going to have an episode of colitis and, be bleeding and going to the bathroom constantly. I mean, so this has really been a long, drawn-out thing, and I just feel like I'm worn down. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars going to doctors and clinics and everything that I can try to come up with, read every book that I can think of and tried every practice I can think of, and I'm just not getting the results. And other people's responses, well, other people have it worse than you and blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, those kind of things just don't work for me. They don't make me feel any better. It doesn't help me. And it seems to be somewhat manipulative. I understand, Deborah. That used to happen to me as well. Yeah, I understand. Okay, well, thanks for your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Grace. And thank you, Deborah. And yeah, so much love and compassion coming towards you right now, friend. I have no answers, just love. That's all I can give. Aw. All right, so Carla, Hamira, Mark, and then Leslie.
I'm very, very lucky. Whatever is going on with my body, for the most part, it's not painful. And I'm really, really grateful, really grateful that that's not the case. Because I do judge the pain, definitely. And I judge my reaction to pain. But my life is very different. I used to dance for hours in the street and the sidewalk, and I was called a dancer. I didn't know it for years by my neighborhood. And it seems like I've lost that. But what I've discovered is there's other ways, way more, not better, because that's not a judgment, for me to experience the joy I had through that physical action, but through being by acceptance of self. We're spirit having a human experience, right? We're not the human, not only the human, we're actually both, but I don't know of any body that lasts forever. I'm grateful to be here right now, to still be learning and growing and discovering the peace of God that is within. It sometimes seems like I've lost something, but I gained. I don't know, I can't judge it, but I can't do the things I used to do. And I have to have a helper, a living helper. And it seems like I make errors or mistakes or whatever, things that happen to my body. No idea why. I'm so grateful. I came within, like, I don't know how far, like 30 to 50 feet of getting hit by a train about 10 years ago. I'm so grateful. That I continue to have this opportunity to grow, to love, to be in this body, however it oddly does stuff nowadays. It's so easy, and I go there many times to go where, oh, I've lost something. Everything's changed. I can't do stuff. I'm like, but I had it. I could have been born something without legs or with mentally, whatever. It's not a bad thing, but it's different. I'm so grateful that I had it for however long this body chose. And it's not the body that chooses, but it does kind of choose, because I choose it by my blaming, by my choosing upset, by choosing other things in love. I choose. It's not bad. There's nothing's wrong. It's like, I'm not making a mistake. You're not making a mistake. There's nothing wrong with us. This is just somehow your path of learning. I know that I felt all sorts of things. I mean, I was in Kuwait. I was like, I don't know, 40 something, late 40s. I'm like, I don't know if you're out there, angels, but if you are, and I didn't even believe it, I could use some help. And then my life I started losing stuff, but I don't gain in form, maybe. When you believe more in what you don't see than what you do see, you will see what you don't see, and you won't see what you do see. I believe in you, Deborah. I believe you're going through a way experience of healing, or whatever you want to call it. I see you're questioning what you thought was real, what you thought was true. And that brings up all sorts of stuff. And I feel so blessed by hearing your healing, hearing your experience. On my wall, I just put like, question everything you think you know. And in a way, that's what you're doing. And it's such a beautiful, I see only beauty. I see only beauty. I know you feel something different, but I don't say I'm
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
having to work on seeing the beauty, Carla, but thanks for your response. And you made me think of one other thing that I wanted to add is another question I've been having. You know, in the Bible, it talks about how supposedly God gave us dominion. Well, I want to know what that dominion is and what that means. I mean, I feel like lately I've been a beggar. I've been begging God, and I don't want to be a beggar, and I don't think we were created to be beggars. And sometimes hope is a beggar. And I just have questions that nobody can seem to answer, and maybe nobody can answer them, like Linda said. But I still have the questions.
Then you will get the answers when you're, that's not ready, but at the moment, some point, I know you will get them. You will feel it. Keep questioning. That's helpful. Do it. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Carla. Tamara, and then Mark, and then Leslie.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Deborah that I love her so very much. I'm so grateful for her to share what she's going through from just from a heart space. I completely understand. Of course, I've never been in your shoes. I've never had a stroke, but when I was 20 something, I was hit by a drunk driver and I was paralyzed for a year. And they had said to me that I can't, you know, my boyfriend and I were walking across the street. A drunk driver hit us. He got killed instantly. And I was hospitalized for a number of months and I had nerve damage. So it came back eventually, thank God. But they had said, you probably won't walk again. Your left arm, you'll never use it again. So you just, but when I was in that state, of course, you question God, you question everything. And I so understand where you're coming from. All I can say, I heard you saying, I've been trying this and I've been trying that and, nothing's working. And when I heard something that Lisa Natoli talked about, she was, she had some major health issues for years. And, she's a Course in Miracles teacher. And she talked about how one day her husband, nothing was working. She was losing her eyesight, everything. And she said one day her husband came home and I guess he was following the, in addition to the Course in Miracles, sort of the non-duality path. And he said, can you accept, if you were not to heal ever, like for the rest of your life, could you accept where you are just like right now and be happy? And she said she had a moment of clarity and she accepted where she was at. And I'm not like she healed, but it's because she just gave up trying to fix it. She just surrendered it and said, okay, I'm going to be happy right now. That's a challenge. I get it. It seems like a tall order, but you may want to look into some of her videos and things like that, because she specifically talks about health issues. And
yeah, I followed her.
So anyway, I wanted to just share that. You do? Okay, excellent. Yeah. And I just want to tell you, you are so loved. You're just very loved. Yeah. I'm sending you much, much love and healing thoughts.
I hope I didn't anchor anybody today, but it's just my nature to be honest, and I have to say what's really on my mind. I can't say it like how I don't see it and try to pretend like it's something else. And I am paralyzed at this point. I'm paralyzed on one side. I don't have the use of one of my hands, and I was a teacher for many years, and no, I can't do that. I can't have a career. I can't go and work. I can't support myself. I have to hire somebody to do everything for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't speak for anybody else. I can just say that I'm so grateful that you were honest and shared exactly where you are.
Yeah.
And yeah, this group isn't about faking and being, giving empty platitudes. We're here to support and love each other wherever each person is at. And I know you guys have been there for me for years now, and I want to be there for you. And Deborah, I'll put my email and my phone number in the text. If you want to call, if you need to talk ever, I'm here for you. Love you.
Yeah, thank you.
We
very
love you,
much.
Deborah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Samira. Mark, and then Leslie, and then Carla. And then we will likely wrap up.
Yeah, I totally agree with Homera that it's just very good, Deborah, that you just sharing your experience honestly, and I think it's also a good help for the rest of us, that we can relate to some things in your story. Maybe different for each individual, of course. And there were two things that were coming to my mind, and I thought I'd share that with you. And with the attention that it hopefully it will help you. And if it doesn't, or if it upsets you, I'm sorry. But it seems like your soul has chosen a very, very hard path. Like, but I sometimes get the feeling like if your soul chooses to do small steps a time, then you get small upsets a time, and you get small advances. But some souls choose to have a very rigorous healing, which then involves a very rigorous and challenging time in the life before the healing is ready. So yeah, I hope I'm not saying the wrong thing, but so it feels very challenging for you, but I mean, I think I have still the trust that somewhere along the line there will be a very profound healing that's waiting for you, and I just hope that you can keep that faith. And of course, that faith is not there all the time, but sometimes maybe you can get it back. And that's very easy for me to say. I'm not in your position. I'm aware of that. So, and the other thing was, you might want to look up the thing that Carolyn Mays has talked about a couple of times, which is called some concept like the dark night of the soul. It feels a little bit like you might be in this dark night of the soul, where you're going through a very, very, very dark time in your life, and nothing makes sense. But as Carolyn Mays explains, it is part of a very big healing. So Carolyn says also, like, if you're in a dark night of soul, you can be very grateful, because like a little bit like ironically, because it's almost always coupled with or how do you say coupled with a very big healing. So that's I hope that helps you a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Leslie, do you have time? I know you have to go on the.
It's okay. I'll just be real quick. I just loved what everybody said as far as non-resistance that is so huge. And what Hamira said, it's that acceptance, it can be so difficult, and yet it can be so helpful. I mean, some of you know I have MS, and some of you don't know I have MS, and it's really neither here nor there. But my life didn't, and I was diagnosed when I was 23, and my 20s were hell, and my 30s weren't much better. I mean, I was really, really sick. And I didn't start to get better until I did a lot of work with Byron Katie, and did a lot of worksheets. And it wasn't until I had this epiphany, because I'm like, I would beg God, I'm like, I'll eat dirt, I'll do whatever. I just want to be able to walk again. I don't want to have it blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know the details, but I was just desperate. And it wasn't until I did this worksheet, and it was like, I can have MS and be happy. Because before it was always like, I can't be happy until I'm cured from MS. I can't be happy until I'm cured. And doing all the stuff I've done with the Course in Miracles and all my spiritual work, I love when I finally realized that all healing occurs in the mind. So, and I mean, just this 2 weeks ago, I went to the zoo with my nephew. I had to take a scooter. I can't walk farther than a mile, but I still had a great time. And usually I'm so, in the past, I've been very resentful and very embarrassed, and just, I don't like to talk about it. I don't like that to be part of my identity. I have blue eyes, I have MS, but it's not who I am. I am a child of God. I am love. And it was just so nice to be open-hearted, and just when people would hold a door for me, just to smile back at them and say thank you. And I'm so grateful that I can have MS and still be happy. And gratitude has helped me so much. So much. I'm grateful. I'm grateful I can see. I'm grateful I can talk. I'm grateful my speech is good. I mean, I just can go on and on and on. And truly, I've probably been trying to say at least 10 times a day, I'm spirit, whole and complete. I want to get that down in my core, because it's true. I am spirit. This is just a temporary bodysuit. This is what I chose. I think because I was ready to advance spiritually. Like, I loved what you said, Mark. It's like, okay, God, I'll sign up for this MS thing. I can do it. I want to get closer to you. So bring it on. And sometimes I regret that decision, but mostly I don't. So really quick, I just want to say the sentence I loved is healing certain is in paragraph 3, just made me laugh, is who gives a gift, and sentence 7, who gives a gift and then remains with it, to be sure it is used as the giver deems appropriate. Such is not giving, but imprisoning. That's like if you give a toy to a kid and like, did you play with the toy? Do you like the toy? Are you going to play with the toy? I mean, if you're giving, you're giving. Love you guys.
Thank you, Leslie. Carla, quickly.
Yeah, I just have 2 things. When I was going to paint the house, I was like, how can I ever do this? How can I climb on ladders? And I was told this: don't worry about what you can't do. Do what you can. And I want to add another quote. Is it? I don't know. I put the song in the group. It's by a quote by Nightbird, whose singer's died. She had 4 years of battling with cancer in her body. She said this: you can't wait until life isn't hard anymore before you decide to be happy. And that's what this whole experience has been. I'm choosing to be happy, no matter what the appearance is, no matter how I feel, whatever's going on, whatever I choose or not choose, whatever, I'm just willing to be happy. That's what all God wants us to be. That's not one thing is another judgment, I guess, but desires for us above all things. Somehow, this experience, I just don't know. I have no idea how or why, but this experience I'm having is helpful in some ways. And I trust that above all things, trust.
Thank you, Carla.
Linda, this Nancy, can I just say the one thing I always lately say to people,
Sure.
my experience, that I heard this, I don't know when, some time ago. The closer you when you get to the truth, when you're really close to the truth, that's when the quote devil, ego, whatever, really zaps you. It gets really, really nasty.
Yeah.
That's what's happened to me. But so I just always say that she's got to be close to the truth.
Yeah.
She's checked out everything in the world and all the different religions and thought systems and all that stuff, and found that none of them have satisfied her.
Yeah.
So she's got to be, to my mind, she's got to be so close to the truth, the absolute truth.
Yeah. Thanks, Nancy Gail. Yeah. Like Jennifer says, don't give up before the answered prayer.
Right. She's got to be right, really close.
Yeah.
To Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep. We love you. That's all there is to it.
Yes. Yes. I want to thank her for bringing it up, because
Yeah.
each person has said something and has been helpful to me.
Oh, thanks, Nancy Gail. I'm glad.
And I just want to say to Deb, you are serving the light in this moment. You are serving the light every day, every moment, whether you think you are or not. You are a light, and you are serving the light to each of us and to any encounter.
Yeah. So everybody that is here today that got to hear you share, everybody that shared what they shared with you, anybody who will listen to this later is benefiting from your experience. And that may not give you any consolation or, make things seem any better, but it's the truth of it. And all we can do is love you. We can't give you the answers. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome, sweetie. So next week, we're remaining in the Manual for Teachers. We're going to read how can perception of order of difficulties be avoided? Ain't that perfect? And are changes required in the life situation of God's teachers? So it's just 3 pages. I know we can get through it. And then I'm going to read the Pathways of Light insights from my lesson today, which is 347. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. And that can be a hard one to swallow. In this lesson, Jesus gives us the basis of every problem, and he also gives us the solution. He helps us understand that making judgments on our own is an attack on ourselves. Judgment keeps miracles away. In paragraph 2, Jesus gives us the one alternative that heals all problems. He tells us, listen today, be very still, Robin, and hear the gentle voice for God. I always hear her voice in my head when I read stuff like that, assuring you that he has judged you as the son he loves. Here we have the answer to every perceived problem. We are asked to be still and listen. We are asked to have an open mind so that the healing voice of the Holy Spirit can be heard. As we are truly willing to open our mind, we can't help but allow in the peace of God. When the ego's voice is stilled, peace is there. The voice for God is there. As our willingness to accept God's peace grows, we are very gently led back from our sleeping state. We are very gently led to awaken to the truth. As we awaken to see that our attack thoughts are just foolish ideas, we do not want to keep them. They do not protect us. They do not protect our brother. They take us in the opposite direction from where we want to go. We allow a lot of time now to be still and listen. Quieting our minds of the ego's judgment becomes a high priority. We see that it is the answer to every concern, every fear, every form of suffering. We become more willing to rest in God's healing light, God's healing love. I would practice accepting this miracle today. I'm actually going to stop there because we are already at 5 minutes after. So again, that was Pathways of Light lesson insights for number 347, if you would like to read the rest of it. I thank you all for another amazing conversation, and pour you all, just shower you all with love. Yeah. I'll see y'all next week. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Bye.